So I never know exactly what I'm going to do a video on, but my topic is how real is it? And please notice the substitution of the word real as in a film reel, not R-E-A-L, but R-E-E-L. Now, once upon a time I did have a channel called Real or Real, R-E-A-L or R-E-E-L, but I took it down because I just have had too many videos out and I completely overwhelmed myself as well as my viewers. So anyhow, I found a channel where we will meet an expert. That's right. There's a lot of experts. And this is an expert on World War I from Insider. Now you can see he has a whole host of videos, and his playlist is How Real Is It? R-E-A-L. Now the reason I put the title in there, How Real Is It? Because it's all real. R-E-E-L. How much film are you watching when someone tries to tell you about any war? Any war! Well, anyhow, it's mostly the question that I wanted to focus on, but we'll just take one little segment of his video, and he tries to do a decent job. But remember now, he's claiming he's an expert. Watch out for this expert stuff. Why is he an expert? Look at his age. Because he read some books that were composed by liars. Because he went through an educational system that is run by liars. And he was recognized in the educational system. So here's a young man, maybe, what, 30 years of age, trying to tell everybody he's an expert about what happened around 1915, 1916, 1917, 1918. He's an expert. So anyhow, he's going to tell you about these movies. How real are they? And you know what? They're all real. R-E-E-L. Well, anyhow, I'll give you a little segment of his channel. No disrespect is intended. This is for educational purposes.
On his head is an Adrian helmet. The French army was the first of the armies to introduce proper head protection for its troops. And that was because head injuries in the first year of the war were a really, really serious drain.
There were a lot of head injuries. The people back home reading their newspapers, looking at their magazines, and hearing stories of liars. So actually there were a lot of head injuries, including civilians. Yes, there were a lot of head injuries in World War I. But the French were intelligent enough to make sure that their troops wore helmets. So in case you were wondering why do troops wear steel helmets? Thanks to the Frenchies.
And so having this head protection lowered injuries, lowered fatalities. It's a pretty light helmet, a bullet would penetrate it, but it...
A bullet would penetrate it, but... Oh! A bullet would penetrate it, but... We have seen some helmets with bullets from other wars, and we have heard the testimonials of an individual who had holes in his helmet but survived. That was World War II.
Soldiers, it could protect soldiers from shrapnel. This is an Adrian helmet from the First World War. This is a medical corps helmet. The badges on the front were different depending on...
Okay, now he's going to point out about the rod and the snake in the medical corps. Now you know where that comes from? That comes from ancient Greece. The god Asclepius. And do you know how people were supposed to be healed? They went into a temple filled with snakes. And the snakes were supposed to crawl upon them, because the snake had healing properties. Now you look closely at some of your hospitals, and especially your medical unit trucks, your paramedics, your ambulances. Many times you will see the rod with the snake. Now another application of that would be in the book of Exodus. When Moses throws down his rod, it becomes a snake. Now the reason God instructed him to do that and gave him the ability was the snake was the symbol of ancient Egypt. And God was saying, I'm in charge of Egypt. So the magicians of Pharaoh came along and did the same. But here's the thing. The one rod of Moses and Aaron swallows up the many rods or the many serpents of the magicians of ancient Pharaoh. So it's the First World War and you've been injured. And some yo-yo comes along with a helmet with a rod and a snake on it and wants to give you medical treatment. How do you feel about the rod and the snake? How do you even feel right now, people, with your hospitals adopting the symbol, going back to Asclepius, or even if you like going back to Exodus and the magicians in Pharaoh's court, if you like, go back that way with it. Well, anyhow, let's get back to our expert on World War I.
The soldier belonged to. You see, this is a medical corps one because it's got a snake and a staff on it. Key thing is the ridge. The ridge, it turns out, was really useful for protecting.
Yeah, the ridge was really useful. If it was so useful, then why didn't the World War II people adopt it? It's decoration. It's a prop. Just like when you go to a play, the actors have to have props on. Props in their hands and props on the stage. Props on their body. Just like World War II. MacArthur with a pipe, corncob pipe.
The airburst from shells, if you like, concussion. I think it was deliberate. I think they were basing it on a fire brigade helmet, but it turned out really, really well.
Okay, so he goes into these so-called battle scenes, and he wants to ask the question, how real was it? Well, you know what my answer is? Of course it was real. The battles themselves were real. But just not the type of real of what you're thinking. Not that real. Rather, this real. Now the biggest thing to get hold of is war is a hoax. Many, many people cannot do it. But I guarantee you, if you can do it, you'll be able to, quote, shoot down any hoax. Now that's why one of my channels is called War Backwards is Ra. R-A. Ra, the false god of Egypt. It was my first channel. And I didn't know what to call it. But I knew that somehow, understanding that war is a hoax, and that war is basically watching reels, R-E-E-L-S, not real as in people charging across battlefields and can't wait to get shot. People saying, I can't wait to get up in the morning and go out and face enemy fire. I just love it when I throw a hand grenade and blow off arms. I just love seeing dead bodies everywhere. Now you better understand something. It's not in the nature of human beings to want to kill another. So what do you think about all these people that are enrolled in trying to kill others? Do they really want to do it? Or do they really? R-E-A-L-L-Y. Or R-E-E-L. They're content for it to be a real. Boy, I can rattle on, I'll tell you. I talked to a young man that was in the First Gulf War. He was in the Air Force. And he told me when all the bombing started, the commanding officer made them gather in a large area with a large screen and to watch it on screen. And to sit there like it's a movie They might have had popcorn for them too, and drinks. It was an order. Everyone in the unit had to go to a large screen area and watch the bombings. So what do? You're in the Air Force. Your commanding officer tells you have to watch this. You start applauding, like in a movie. Like a cowboy movie, whereby they're fighting the Indians. You applaud that the enemy's getting killed. So how real is it? Well, you determine. I'm going to promote that it's this, not this. And if you're strong enough and brave enough to say, I think he's right, then you trust me. You can take down any of these hoaxers and any of these liars. I'll never forget, someone said in one of the comments, they said, why are you always yelling? And you know what? I think they're right. It's because I get passionate. I want to bring you out of it. But, as one friend told me, when the next hoax comes along, when the next film is shown and the next reel is shown, people go right back into it. Well, that's why occasionally I do videos like this. Shoot down war. Shoot it down. And try to realize that it is real. It is film put off to you as reality. And the brain cannot distinguish between that and that. I'd like to thank you for watching this video and a video